Ladies and gentlemen, especially my seniors, if you use a debit card, you need to hear this right now. A sneaky trick is spreading across the country, and it's targeting everyday people just like you. It's called the double charge trick. And if you don't know how it works, you could lose hundreds, even thousands of dollars without even realizing it. Please stay with me until the very end because I'm going to explain exactly how it happens, how to spot it, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself. And before we dive in, quickly hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if you've ever noticed an extra charge on your bank statement. Part 1: How the double charge trick works. The double charge trick is one of those scams that seems so simple and yet it's devastatingly effective. Here's what usually happens. You go about your day, maybe running errands, paying for groceries, or filling up your car with gas. You tap or swipe your debit card, hear the familiar beep, and collect your receipt. Everything feels normal. What you don't see is the second charge sneaked in either by a compromised machine, a dishonest employee, or even a small programming trick that makes your purchase process twice. Sometimes it's a perfect duplicate. If you bought $22 worth of groceries, you'll see another $22 debit right beneath it on your statement. Other times, the scammer changes the number slightly to avoid raising suspicion. A $19.99 repeat or maybe a $21.50 charge that feels close enough to what you remember spending. Because so many of us don't recall the exact totals of small purchases, especially when they're everyday expenses, these little differences slip right by. The real genius behind this trick is its invisibility. Banks don't always flag these charges because they look normal, like you went back into the store and bought something else. And unlike outright fraud where your card is used in another city or country, this trick hides in plain sight. It looks like you simply made another purchase at a store you trust. That's why it's spreading so fast. It's low risk for scammers and high cost for unsuspecting seniors. Part 2: Why it's so dangerous for seniors. Now, why is this scam especially harmful for older adults? The truth is, many seniors rely on debit cards for the bulk of their purchases. Feels safer than carrying cash. And unlike credit cards, there's no balance to manage, just money coming straight out of the bank account. But that's exactly where the danger lies. When a criminal sneaks in an extra charge on your debit card, the money disappears instantly. It's not pending. It's not waiting for approval. It's gone. For seniors on fixed incomes, even a few missing dollars can create unnecessary stress. Imagine budgeting carefully for rent, groceries, and medication only to find your account short because someone quietly skimmed $20 here, $40 there. These little amounts may not seem dramatic, but over weeks or months, they add up to hundreds of dollars. And when that money is siphoned from an account used to pay bills automatically, it can lead to overdraft fees, late payment penalties, and headaches that ripple far beyond the initial theft. There's also the reality that many older adults don't check their statements daily. Some prefer paper statements that come once a month, while others may not be as comfortable navigating online banking apps. By the time the double charges are spotted, weeks may have passed. At that point, the criminal has already moved on. Your bank may take time to investigate, and you're left in limbo waiting for your money back. And while credit cards usually offer robust fraud protections, debit cards don't always make it so simple. You're left to prove that you didn't authorize those transactions, and the process can feel intimidating. In short, this scam doesn't just steal your money, it steals your sense of financial security. And that's why seniors are the group scammers love to target. Part 3: Real-life examples of the trick. Let me paint a clearer picture with real-life stories because these illustrate how sneaky the double charge trick really is. One woman in her 70s I spoke with had been using her debit card at the same neighborhood pharmacy for years. She trusted the staff, knew the routine, and thought nothing of it when she saw a $985 charge on her statement. The next month, the same $9.85 appeared again, but she assumed it was a refill she'd forgotten. By the third month, she finally realized something was off. It turned out she was being double charged by a corrupted system that had been hacked by criminals, stealing small amounts repeatedly so they could fly under the radar. In total, she lost nearly $120 before she noticed. Another gentleman filled up his car at the gas station and, like many of us, didn't bother to look at his receipt. His bank statement showed $45 for fuel, which seemed about right. But tucked right below, it was another $43 charge from the same gas station on the same day. He thought perhaps he'd accidentally swiped twice. But when it happened again the following week, he knew it was fraud. Over 2 months, more than $400 drained from his account. What makes these examples so frustrating is that the victims weren't careless. They weren't giving away their PINs or falling for phishing calls. They were doing what everyone does, paying for things in good faith. The scam takes advantage of our trust in routine and in familiar businesses by blending the fraud into normal transactions. It makes itself nearly invisible. And that invisibility is what allows it to keep spreading so quickly. Part 4: Warning Signs to Watch For. Now that you understand how the double charge trick works and why it's so dangerous, the next step is knowing how to spot it before it costs you too much money. And here's the truth. Most victims of this scam only catch it when they're lucky or when the amounts become large enough to cause panic. I don't want you to rely on luck. I want you to recognize the red flags immediately. The first and most obvious sign is duplicate charges on the same day from the same store. Let's say you went to the grocery store at 10 a.m. and bought your weekly food items for $65. You'll naturally expect one $65 charge on your statement. But if you see 2 of them, especially within minutes of each other, that's a glaring red flag. Many people brush it off, thinking maybe the machine glitched or they accidentally tapped their card twice, but you should never assume. Even one duplicate charge is worth investigating. Another sign is slightly altered amounts that don't quite match what you remember spending. For example, you buy $18 worth of coffee and snacks at a cafe, but your statement shows a charge for $18 and another for $1,725. That second number might not immediately raise alarms because it feels close enough to what you spent, but scammers know exactly what they're doing. They use these off-by-a-little tactics because they blend in with our memory lapses. Most of us don't recall small totals to the penny, and fraudsters exploit that. Then there are small recurring amounts that show up month after month. These are the most insidious because they disguise themselves as subscriptions or routine charges. Maybe it's $9.99. Maybe it's $12.50. Small enough that you barely notice. Seniors especially may assume, "Oh, that's just for something I signed up for," even if they can't remember what. But here's the truth. Scammers bet on you not noticing or not bothering to question it. Over time, these recurring double charges can cost hundreds. And don't forget to watch for charges from businesses you only visited once. If you filled up at a highway gas station during a road trip and months later see another charge from the same station, that's not a coincidence. That's fraud. The biggest mistake seniors make is chalking these things up to human error or thinking they must have forgotten a purchase. Fraudsters thrive on doubt. If something doesn't feel right, don't dismiss it. Treat it like a warning bell. Part 5: How to protect yourself and stop it. Now let's move to the most important part. How you can stop this trick from ever draining your hard-earned money. Protecting yourself isn't about being paranoid. It's about building smart habits that keep you one step ahead. The first and simplest thing you can do is check your bank statements regularly. And when I say regularly, I don't mean once a month when the paper arrives. I mean at least once a week, if not daily. Even 5 minutes on your bank's online app can save you hundreds. Think of it like brushing your teeth. A small habit that prevents major problems down the line. The second powerful tool is transaction alerts. Most banks today offer free services that will text or email you every time your debit card is used. If you see a double charge come through, you'll catch it instantly. I always recommend seniors set the alerts to trigger for every purchase, not just the big ones. Scammers rely on small charges going unnoticed, so you need to make those charges impossible to ignore. Next, whenever possible, choose credit instead of debit. I know many seniors prefer debit because it feels like real money coming straight from your account, but here's the difference. Credit cards have stronger fraud protections under the law. If someone double charges your credit card, you usually won't be held responsible for the fraudulent amount. With debit, it's your own bank account that gets drained, and the money is gone until your bank decides to reimburse you if you're disciplined and pay off your balance each month. Credit is simply safer for transactions. Another protective habit is saving your receipts. I know it might feel old-fashioned, but trust me, it works. Keep them in an envelope or a folder, even just for a week or two until your bank statement updates. That way, if you see two $35 charges from the pharmacy, you can pull out your receipt and prove you only spent $35 once. Without receipts, it's much harder to challenge fraudulent charges because you don't have a paper trail. And here's something many seniors overlook. Don't be afraid to involve a trusted family member. Sometimes pride stops us from asking for help, but an extra set of eyes can catch what you might miss. A son, daughter, or even a close friend could review your statement with you once a month. It takes just a few minutes, and it could be the difference between catching a scam early or losing hundreds. If you ever do spot a suspicious charge, act fast. Call your bank immediately. Don't wait a day. Don't put it off until Monday. The faster you report it, the easier it is for the bank to reverse the charge and protect your account from further hits. And don't let anyone make you feel like you're overreacting. This is your money and you have every right to demand answers. Finally, I encourage seniors to consider using multiple accounts for different purposes. For example, keep one main account for bills and savings and another smaller account linked to your debit card for everyday purchases. That way, even if scammers do manage to double charge you, the amount they can steal is limited. It's like locking most of your valuables in a safe and only keeping a little cash in your wallet. The double charge trick works because it hides in the shadows of ordinary life. But when you shine a light on your finances by checking, tracking, and asking questions, you strip these scammers of their